Good evening, everybody. Got a lot of videos to look into tonight. We're going to hang out and check out some of the stuff in relation to what I believe is going to fulfill end times Bible prophecies. And I think we're seeing the beginning stages of it now. And it is going to be one way I think it could definitely happen is through these climate takeover, the climate change, everything that's made up surrounding it, and how they're planning to assert their absolute dominance in their new world orders through this process. I mean, they say it in their own words. An Agenda 2030, Agenda 21, Agenda 2030 is like a marker for Agenda 21, and just all this different stuff. They openly say, we want new world orders. We want to control this stuff. And it's just in their own words, we will see it. So we will get into that just here in a moment. This is the UN's goals for sustainable development. If you haven't seen that, that's what we're looking at on the screen right now. And that's one of their plans that they want for Agenda 2032, complete control through all these mechanisms. And they're going to use the climate for this because they really feel that when they bring the climate into the conversation and the animals and the plants, and you're just so mean if you don't care about that stuff, when they do that, then it's really easy to sucker people in. The same way they did in the past, like, oh, you don't want to wear the mask? Don't you care about grandma? Like, you are so unloving. You say you're a Christian and you won't even wear a mask. It's that same type of thing. So let's listen to a little bit of information first on just the climate and actually the truth surrounding the CO2 in the world. This is Randall Carlson.
We're hearing what we hear about climate change. What does the average person not know that's going on?
An awful lot.
Specific to climate change.
Okay, specific to climate change. Well, I would say the biggest thing that they don't know is the degree and extent and frequency with which climate has changed naturally over and over and over again. I mean, I would say this. Okay, so explain to me how we get from half of North America, the climate of half of North America, 10 to 12 to 13, 15,000 years ago, was a climate like you now find at the South Pole. I mean, that's not an exaggeration. If you believe that the climate, that there's some steady state that we're supposed to find, that's what we're supposed to, what are we trying to do here? Get back to the climate of the 1800s or the early 1900s? People don't know the extent to which climate has changed. So
They don't even say it. And that's something that I think we should really be on top of these people for, is that even with their own science and the earth is 5 billion years old, and there's been all these different ice ages, all this stuff that they made us learn in science class as kids, with that science alone, we can prove that their whole plans and their whole theories about the climate, it's getting warmer, oh, it's so dangerous. Even with that, we can prove that they're completely out of their mind with what they're saying.
Just mentioned the fact that sea levels rose 400 feet. Well, nobody's in the mainstream is really thinking about that. You have to go to marine geologists. They're talking about it and realizing it. Oceanographers, paleoclimatologists who study ancient climate will tell you, yeah, it's overwhelming that evidence that the climate has changed over and over again, orders of magnitude beyond anything we've seen in the last century or two.
Yeah, they don't ever tell you that. They don't tell you that, CO2 is so good for plants that you can even buy it to pump into your garden so the plants grow better. They don't tell you that type of stuff. They just say that, oh, now we need to install this thing into your car to watch what you do and to see how many miles you drive, and we're going to tax you per mile. That's what they need. Not the fact that the CO2 is actually helping plants grow, but that they want to watch how many miles you drive and what kind of food you get at the grocery store. That's what they want. They don't care about the climate at all.
That's what most people don't know. They don't know the degree and extent to which the climate has changed naturally without anthropogenic influences and long before we were driving SUVs and putting carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. The other thing they don't know is that the thermal capture ability, the long wave radiation coming off of the Earth, that the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere can capture is limited. It's, in fact, most of the thermal capture is within the first 100 parts per million. And beyond that, it tapers off logarithmically. It's like a leaky sponge. That's what's being captured by carbon dioxide.
So they don't even tell you the true science around this stuff. They don't even tell you that. And they definitely don't look at what the Bible has to say. Like Tanya mentioned, yeah, the Bible says that God sets the border of the ocean and its proud waves do not cross where he says so. They definitely don't believe that, even though that's the actual truth. And they know that, which is why all these people buy homes next to the ocean, because they're not worried about it rising. They know exactly that what they're doing. You know, they want to live by the ocean, and they don't want to have be taxed on their miles per that they're driving in their car, or people telling them what they can and can't eat. They just want that for us. This is their Agenda 2030 plan. This is their New World Order, which I believe could fit in 100% into the end time scenarios that could very well be unfolding, that we're seeing the beginnings of these systems now. Here's a listen. Spiro/Ghost on X. UN Agenda 21 is not replaced. Has not been replaced by the 2030 agenda.
What is the difference, if any, between Agenda 21 and the 2030 agenda?
Mm-hmm. Well, Agenda 21 is the agenda for the 21st century. And of course, you know that the century is 100 years long. And so Agenda 2030 is a 30-year milestone within the Agenda 21 plan. So I really think this is a public relations sort of end game around those of us who've been really alerting the public to Agenda 21. Because now that they're saying, well, Agenda 21 has been replaced by Agenda 2030, there's so much great information out there about Agenda 21 that they're trying to divert you from focusing on Agenda 21. Now, if when you know that Agenda 2030 is simply a milestone year within that 100-year period, the milestone years are 2020, 2025, 2030, and 2050. They really fully expect to have this entire plan locked up and completed by 2050. If you go to America2050.org, which is a Ford Foundation and Rockefeller Foundation project, you'll get a look at what their idea is for in fact, what they want the United States to devolve into, which is to destroy the sense of having a unified union, and to, in fact, not have 50 states any longer, to have 11 mega regions. And in fact, what this plan does is it destroys the concept of the nation state, and it completely destroys it and devolves it into the city states or regions. And these are not, like individual cities, like say San Francisco or New York. These are regions.
This is what they want to do. This is exactly what their plan is. And I mean, thank God they failed as of now, but they're going to try to push it again. And so the possibility of them doing some manipulation to a massive, some climate emergency or something, I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. Like, they knew exactly what was going on with the 2020 stuff, what was with the shot, the dangers and all this stuff. And they're pushing that on the populations. So, I mean, the fact that they'll do that, and the fact that they'll lie to get us into wars constantly, like multiple times, killing millions of people actually worldwide when you look at the numbers, then what's a little bit weather modification? That's like nothing. And this map here is just one of their plans to do that. Agenda 21 map. Normal use, for normal human use, like going hiking or something along these lines, is green. So that's where like normal human use, where you can, see these things or enjoy the outdoors or whatever, the same way that you can right now. Like I said, that's in green. Can you even notice the green? You can't even see it when it's that small. I'm trying to make it larger, but it doesn't matter. The point is that the yellow and the red means pretty much off limits to everybody else besides these people. I mean, we know the Antichrist is going to take control over the populations of the world, and he's going to be lying and manipulating and wanting everything. And I think this is one way they're going to try to do it. I don't think they'll achieve their goals. I don't think, everything is in line with God's timeline. If they could have done it in 2020, they would have. They failed. That's why they kept telling us there's no new normal. You're never going back. The reason they were saying that is because they tried then, but they failed. So we can just make them fail again. And I think that's what we should do, which is why I'm making this video. Don't go along with these things. Don't listen to them. They're lying on the climate. We know that for a fact. We're supposed to take care of the earth and be kind and loving to animals and plant life, obviously, but that doesn't mean that you can't eat meat, which is God gave us meat. That's why they're here now. We have dominion over them. Saying that we have to do, don't agree to these restrictions. Don't install these things in your car where they track how many miles you drive. Don't put technology into your brain so you can control how you dream and how you sleep and stuff. That's what we'll look at here in a minute. We just reject their systems now, and then there is no great reset. There is no new normal. We can't change prophecy, But maybe prophecy doesn't even unfold until enough of God's people just say, the world's too far gone. We can't ever fix it. We give up. We're just going to sit around and wait for Jesus to come. Then the Antichrist fully comes on the scene. So I, for one, don't think it's right to just sit back and wait for prophecy to unfold. I think we should be pushing back on this stuff all the time.
Governed by mega cities, which are huge, enormous cities. It could be part of Washington State, part of Oregon, part of Idaho, and part of British Columbia. So it
like
breaks
a FEMA
the
zone,
national
kinda.
borders, it breaks state borders, breaks, of course, county and city borders. And this is about destroying your ability to actually be able to control what it is that happens to you. It's a plan that is actually, it's a global plan, but they implement it locally. So it looks like a local plan. It's always called different things, no matter where you live. So that's another way of being a stealth plan, you see, is that you'll never see it called Agenda 21. It's always called something else. And it's right there in your town. It's a regional plan, and it's right there where you live right now.
So be mindful of the things going on in your town, in your county, in your community, because they could be trying to put into place these types of Agenda 21, Agenda 2030 systems of the world that they want to do. What do we see here? They're practicing this type of stuff around the world. That's what they're doing, what they're trying to destroy Western civilization in Europe. They're trying to import enough people from the third world that society just completely burns down. And then, they just whatever, let the people in society, the civilians, battle each other, the women chased with clubs, the children dragged into alleys by these people from Pakistan, the men attacked, the churches burnt. I mean, they don't care about that stuff. They don't care about that stuff. If they did, they'd do something about it. If they did, they would not allow all these people to continue to come into their nations. They're trying to destroy Europe. China is another area. All these nations are trying out these different beast systems, in my opinion. They're trying to destroy and from the ashes build a new world order in Europe. In China, they're just instituting the digital prisons pretty much. That's what they're trying here. Once digital ID is in position, you have nowhere to run. One Chinese health official is leading hundreds of people to a quarantine camp. You may ask why the people didn't run. Because they've had an expired shot passport, which made it impossible for them to rent a hotel, take a taxi, eat at a restaurant, or do anything. There's videos coming out just the past few days of just areas all over China where there's tons of people sleeping on the streets because they're blacklisted by the social credit system. Can't buy or sell, can't be a part of society. That's all connected, that is. And that's what they're trying to do here. World Economic Forum, Larry Fink, major guy at BlackRock, one of the co-chairmans of the World Economic Forum, talking about how we need digital money.
I think the movement towards tokenization, decimalization is necessary. It's ironic that we see two emerging countries leading the world in decimalization, in the tokenization and digitization of their currency. That's Brazil and India. I think we need to move very rapidly to doing that. We would be reducing fees. We would do more democratization by reducing more fees if we had all investments on a tokenized platform that you could move from a tokenized money market fund to equities and bonds and back and forth. We have one common blockchain. We will, we can reduce corruption. So I would argue that yes, we have more dependencies on maybe one blockchain, which we could all talk about. But that being said, the activities are probably processed and more secure than ever. I think the movement.
Yeah, I believe we have power over evil forces, and we should be submitting to the Lord Jesus Christ. Live for the Lord, trample over the serpents and the scorpions. Do not submit to evil people when they're being evil towards you. I don't think that we're supposed to do that. I don't think that's what we're called to do. These people in the past who were off spreading the gospel or in the New Testament and stuff, they were doing that and they knew it was against the law of the land. And so when they were arrested, they faced the consequences. But when someone comes out and says, makes an evil law, I don't think that that's the right thing to do, is to follow what someone evil does. I mean, if it leads you into sinning or into doing evil, that's not the right thing to do. It's like they wouldn't bow down to the golden statues in the book of Daniel. I think it's like a similar type of thing. Warning, we have 2 years. So here's more on the digital currency plan for the 2030 digital enslavement grid.
In other words, It's the end of currency, right? Because it's simply a rule system, and you can earn credits in the rule system, and the rule system can apply all sorts of carrots and sticks. So if you're very, very good, you could get more credits. If you're bad, you could have your credits taken away. So the big issue here, if you look at the world that we've grown up in, most of us have grown up, whether Canada, the United States, in a world where the bankers control monetary policy and the people's representatives control fiscal policy, which means the people's representatives set taxes and then determine how the money's going to be spent. Now the bankers in the system can control what taxes are. If they want to raise taxes, they just take it out of your account. You have no control. And
that's where they're trying to move with all this stuff, with the control through technology. I mean, technology will be used in the beast system, the antichrist system, in the end times, pretty much. I mean, we don't know for sure. Like some of these pastors come out and say, how do I know that? Because it says that in the book of Revelation, in the book of Daniel. It doesn't say that in the book of Revelation or Daniel. It strongly suggests that, and I believe that is what will be heavily involved in it, but we don't know that for sure. It could be a multitude of things. It could be something we don't even comprehend at this moment. But just something too. There's hope in this stuff, because what did they try before? You will never go back to normal. There's no new, this is the new normal. You'll never have normal again. This is the great reset. You'll own nothing and be happy. And guess what? Their plans didn't work. Klaus Schwab isn't even CEO of the WEF anymore. So he failed, because God is in the heavens and he laughs at their plans. Everything will only unfold according to his timeline. And so there's a lot of warning signs for us to, disconnect with certain things like this. Every new car in the US will be required by law to have tech that puts constant surveillance on the driver by 2027. AI in your car will determine if you're sober, if you're fit to drive, automatically turn off the vehicle if it determines you're in danger on the road. They do that every single time that there's something that they're trying to do that is just like dystopian, overreaching, something they should not do. Putting AI in your car to watch you, to see if you can do this. It will turn the car off. It can drive the car, I'm sure. And then they always put in to see if you're sober, if you're fit to drive, because it's going to save so many lives. Just take the shot. It's going to save so many lives. Don't you want to go to a concert again? Just take the shot. It's the same thing. It's that every single time. Don't you care about the polar bears? Stop eating red meat. The polar bears can't swim that far. It's the same thing every time. They get you with some little statistic to try to make you think like you have to submit to their plans. You don't have to submit. They don't submit. They don't even believe it. And when it comes to the climate stuff, we know that they're false on that science 100%. Even if the earth is warming, there's a ton of other factors that point to what causes the earth to warm and cool. And if we believe their own science, years and years and years ago, when there was like no humans, according to them, CO2 levels were even higher and the plant life was better. The animals were bigger, and they think that that was better. So according to their science, we should be dumping more CO2 into the atmosphere. It's insane. They made a massive mistake. I mean, they really went, when the internet came out, they like the fact that they didn't control it instantly, they're done now. Like, you're pretty much, if you fall for their lies, like you decided to, pretty much. Tech companies WorldCoin has a goal to scan the irises of everyone on Earth. Sam Altman was just talking about similar things like this recently. This tech company is called Orb, the Orb. They're going to be collecting people's biometric data. They want to collect everyone's biometric data on the Earth to create a way to identify all humans. The company has dealt with bans in several countries. Should be banned everywhere. We have to ban stuff like this. We don't have to submit to them just because they say it, just because they say it's good, just because it helps people, because of the polar bears. You don't have to do that stuff. We don't have to. You don't have to eat lab-grown meat. You just don't have to. We don't have to agree to their new normal. We don't. Well, they're supposed to serve us. We don't serve them. That's how this whole society works. And that's how every society should work. Listen to this dystopian nightmare and this stuff these guys all talk about when they hang out.
There's going to be people of means who are going to travel. And then there's going to be people maybe who are lesser means who might actually be able to use an Oculus or a Magic Leap or some other kind of device to travel to the same place, but from their own couch. But in many ways, it's actually going to create even more distance between those two people. That psychologically, and I think that we've experienced this through social media. In many ways, it's brought people closer in certain ways, but actually created this remarkable divide because it's even more visible, actually, the divide in certain ways. There's going to be people.
So some people are going to be able to go on vacation, and then the other people are going to go on vacation with their headsets. That's the type of thing. Like, you can just, like, it doesn't have to be some crazy call to arms or something. Like, just, like, we're not agreeing to this stuff. Just end of story. Like, I'm not going to be doing your little experiments. Like this here, another one. This company called Prophetic. Take a listen what they do.
It works by directing low-intensity ultrasonic energy through the skull to safely modulate neuronal activity. This precision is crucial, especially given the DLPFC's role in lucid dreaming. By carefully controlling stimulation parameters, TFUS can trigger the DLPFC during REM sleep, creating ideal conditions for lucidity. Furthermore, by using a multi-element phase array and carefully timed activation sequences, the ultrasonic beam can target neurons within a spatial range and correct for skull differences.
The Oculus is the headset that they're saying where people can wear it, and like you can go to Disney World in your headset while Klaus Schwab and his friends are there eating. You can even eat a fake real steak in there, but it'll be a lab-grown one made by Bill Gates. But they're there eating them, you know, by themselves. But you can do it with your little Oculus, available at Best Buy. This is different. This is a technology that this company Prophetic has made, and they're putting this to where you can force yourself to do lucid dreaming. That's what this is. All this stuff I think fits together in this total of like end time scenario that we're moving towards.
Lucid dreaming is a rare treasure, a phenomenon that most people only encounter once or twice in a lifetime. Prophetic is here to change that.
Yeah, weird. Like Minority Report. Put this thing on your head. Well, who knows what that does? People are just putting this on, messing with their brain wavelengths, thinking they can control dreams. I mean, the possibilities there is very dangerous. Very dangerous. And yet, I saw someone just said in the chat, yeah, imagine what these people are talking about in private. They talk about this stuff publicly. How about this? Another thing from the WEF. That organization needs to be abolished.
When I started this job, there were actually very little countries in Africa or Latin America that had one ubiquitous type of ID, and certainly that it was digital, and certainly that it was biometric. And we really work with all our partners to actually help that being, to grow this. And the interesting part of it is that, yes, it is very necessary for financial services. But not only, sure. It's also good for school enrollment. It's also good for health, who actually got a vaccination or not. It's very good to get your subsidies, from the government. When I started this job.
So these digital IDs, these digital identities, it's good for so many things. Who got a vaccination? Who didn't? Who paid this? Who didn't? Who got the mark of the beast? Who didn't? I mean, that's obviously where it's going. They don't think that, but it is. It's pretty clear that that's the direction it's going. We already saw they were trying to do that with you can't buy or sell without the mask. Some places you can't enter without the shot. So it's like, yeah, well, now you just need a digital ID. Yeah, we don't think that they would start cutting it off if people didn't get the shot or other things like the mark of the beast. It's so obviously moving in that direction. No other religious text on the face of the earth is even close to fulfilling the things that the Bible does. It's the only one with proven prophecy. I mean, the Bible is proof that God is real through the proven prophecies. I mean, it was written in the book of Revelation 2,000 years ago that this stuff would happen. And we're seeing it starting now. Reimagining the digital ID. For centuries, ID, a way for people to prove attributes about themselves, has played a pivotal role in society. Yet today, roughly 850 million people still lack legal ID, making it difficult or impossible for us to tax them or see what vaccines they took. Oh, wait, no, it says for them to fully engage with society. Simultaneously, many of those with ID do not have privacy and control over how their data is shared. That's funny. I mean, you can't click on a single website without them telling you that they're taking your data. They listen to what you say and they send you apps, they send you ads depending on what you're talking about. Yeah, because once again, what did I say earlier? They care so much about the people. You know, you can't engage with society if you don't have this digital ID, and you're losing your privacy with no digital ID. I mean, look at the doublespeak there. That's so Orwellian 1984. You don't have privacy unless you get the digital ID. It's so doublespeak. It is insane. People believe that. People read that stuff and believe it. Man, pray for people's eyes to be open to the truth, because there's so many people in the world who would read something like that and think it's true. That's scary. Those people are voting. There's just so many deceived people in the world. I pray and I ask God right now in Jesus' name that their eyes would be opened. We have people who believe that, and that's true. And I'm not going to go in the other direction, but it's just crazy. So many people need their eyes open. I pray in Jesus' name that it'll happen. Let's listen to what Mr. Bill Gates has to say.
And then, of course, when malnutrition goes up, that increases deaths. It means that kids are not able to develop either physically or mentally. There's reasons to believe that by using the latest techniques of being able to sequence genes, using AI, using satellite data, that for all the crops, not just the main cereal crops, we can...
He's laughing because he knows that they can just institute higher levels of control. Dystopian future, and that's what's funny. People don't laugh when they're talking about stuff unless they're thinking about something else. What could he possibly be thinking about at that moment when he's talking about giving people shots, the populations of the world who are malnutritioned, and so they need to institute more AI stuff to whatever, manipulate the food sources and do gene splicing with it? What's funny about that? Nothing is funny, but he knows exactly what he's doing, and he knows that the harm that's being done to these people, and that's funny to him. It makes the demon laugh. That's my opinion.
Make them far more productive and far more climate resilient. They'll be able to improve the lives of over 500 million farmers.
They are trying order out of immigration chaos. That is one means they're trying everywhere. And I hope that doesn't happen here, because that is being very successful in Europe. I think a lot of people are starting to realize that and fighting back against that. I hope it does. I hope Europe retakes itself, because that is just crazy. That's what they don't realize. I mean, the power is in the people. We let like a couple thousand people in the world create the problems for everybody. That's pretty ridiculous when you think about it.
And so, you know, this is a very fundamental, top of the list thing to address climate adaptation. Of course, we don't just want these improvements to be in the lab. We want them to scale up. We're impatient to see this done. Prioritizing the highest impact interventions like we do in health will be very important. But I think we'll look back on today as a real milestone towards accelerating this adaptation innovation.
Wow. What a milestone. Amazing. No, not really. Gene splicing, gene sequencing, 500 million farmers. I mean, they want to control the weather too. It's a little bit more from everyone's favorite Dr. Bill Gates.
Reducing population growth, that's this big benefit. The key thing you can do to reduce population growth is actually improve health.
In the developed countries, the big winners are countries that have shrinking populations.
I would like to reduce the number of people on the planet because there's too many of us.
These are politicians and people at heads of company who are saying they need less of us. And let's put those people in control, the people who say there needs to be less of us. Let's inject ourselves with stuff from the people who say there should be less of us. Yeah, that's a great idea. How do people not think and see that together? How is that possible?
Invest in clean energy and electric vehicles and reduce population. More of our children can breathe clean air and drink clean water.
With too many people. We have global warming because too many people are using too much stuff.
Now, the world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that. We're taking things that are, genetically modified organisms, and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein. So in the next 5
Just so funny. Just shoot it right in the veins of these kids. Modified organisms. Some reason that's funny to Bill Gates. All these people, they're making decisions on what we eat. They're making decisions on on what's happening in our government. And these are the same people who we can see here on video are saying there should be less people. I think that's crazy to elect these people. If they ever say stuff like that, and they're not even talking about the fact that actually, like, when you look at the amount of people who are in the world, the amount of people who are having children right now, like, the population is actually going to do a massive decline in the coming years.
Prime Minister Brian Platt with Bloomberg News. Yesterday,
Prime Minister of Canada.
When you met with Premier Lee, one of the things you said in the public remarks was this partnership with Canada and China, this new partnership, sets us up well for the new world order. What did you mean by that? What is the new world order?
Well, it's a great question, Brian, because I think the world is still determining what that order is going to be. And let's be clear what we're talking about first and foremost, which is what is going to govern global trade? What is the role of the WTO going to be? How important are bilateral deals?
So here's his just like sly little answer or whatever, but he knows what he's saying and what he's doing. They know what a new world order is. I mean, why would they use that term? They know that term has been like taken for years instead of like it has bad negative connotations. And then now they're just reusing it again. Here's that guy, Mark Carney's wife, talking about it.
Of intergenerational dinner table conversations being sparked by its contents, of new possibilities opening up in its wake, of Canada being the nation that is helping to define and shape a new world order.
We can see what is the fruit of the new world order in Canada. Well, it's been pretty clear to see how the fruit of it's been. Immigration problems, shutting down bank accounts for people who don't want to be injected with stuff that's an experiment, promoting insane ideologies, attacking Christianity. So yeah, that makes sense that would lead the New World Order. That makes sense. Here's a little offshoot of the Agenda 2030 stuff. This was this guy. He used to be the leader of a satanic organization or like a chapter of it or whatever. And he has some insight into the satanic agenda for 2027.
Of a satanic organization. I saw this satanic agenda with my own eyes. I was in meetings discussing the satanic agenda with other satanic organizations around the world. So every 9 years it gets updated. So I'm just aware of the one that's being pushed now up to 2027. I don't know what the agenda is after that. But what I've seen with my own eyes and the online conferences that I've been in with other satanic leaders, this is what's going on at the moment. When I said when I left Satanism in May 2022, when I left Satanism, I said, and I have a recording of it, I said that in 2025 people will be arrested on the street for praying for other people. People will be prosecuted for being Christians in Europe. I say that because I saw it on the agenda. It wasn't a prophecy or that I saw the future. It was because I knew what was on the agenda. And people thought I was insane. So I'm saying today that in 2027, there's going to be a one world religion that will be the acceptable and the only religion around the world that will be legal, and it's not going to be Christianity. I was the leader of it.
Makes you wonder. I mean, we are seeing that right now. He said he saw that before, that people are going to be arrested for praying. People are going to be arrested for preaching on the streets. That's been happening. There's been multiple people who have just been silently praying outside of abortion clinics who have been arrested around the world. There's a lot of different things surrounding 2027. I'm not going to claim that I know what that is, but there is a lot of strange talk around it. Are they setting something up? Are they planning for something? For sure, there's people in high organizations who are satanic. Are they talking to the guys who are at the lower levels, like how he was? Maybe. And I mean, potentially. Wouldn't surprise me, actually, trying to whatever unite the forces below them or whatever to be on the same page. So yeah, I mean, that's something we should be praying for. And he says there'll be a one world religion and it won't be Christianity. Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious what that would be at this point. They're already taking over everywhere in the world. They take over by force, the religion of peace. which, takes you over by, violence. Pretty clear that that's what that religion could be. If it's not Islam, it would be some false New Age religion, like the aliens are from space and the universe is God, which you see a lot of that stuff being talked about now too. And even with the passing of David Wilcock, people are saying, that if you look at this, if supposedly people are believing that the government actually took him out, that's all that his teachings were. So maybe that's something they're going to be trying to push up. The whole false satanic lie that you can be like God, the universe is God, aliens are God, we're all one. Christianity, Buddhism, and Islam, we all just need to join together. That's a possibility too. It'll either be Islam worldwide, and anybody who comes against it will be attacked, which we're seeing right now in Europe. I pray in Jesus' name that ends. It'll either be that or this one world religion we all get along. Besides the people who believe the Bible, you guys need to be beheaded. That's what will happen eventually. We don't know exactly how, but it will happen that way. All right. I think what kind of ties this whole thing together is the climate stuff. I think that's one way that we really need to be vigilant watching towards. They are going to try massive control mechanisms, massive control policies, a lot of stuff with technology, and then with the whole, you need to do everything you can for the climate, and you need to obey everything we say for the climate because it's better for the planet and the polar bears. We really have to be on guard against this lie.
The climate right now is no warm.
Even if some of what they're saying is true, how they're using it is for absolute control mechanisms. We know that for sure.
The climate right now is no warmer than it's been many times throughout history. Our baseline is now the lowest the carbon dioxide has been in 600 million years.
Interesting. They don't teach that in school, do they? You don't see that on CNN. That's what I mean. They messed up when they didn't control the internet. And they messed up when they gave us this science that if they even believe it's true or not, if it's made up, even looking at their old numbers in the past with this stuff here, we can even see it's the lowest it's been in years, CO2. And they say it's such a problem. It's not the type of problem that they say. Earth goes in warming and cooling periods. And one of the biggest factors of that is actually how the sun is in relation to the earth. Obviously, no coincidence that the big thing that gives us heat in the sky is actually the biggest factor that creates the temperature. Not people driving around and what kind of food you eat.
As far as temperature change, the IPCC's first report of 1992 showed that the medieval warm period was warmer than the present. Well, this didn't fit the narrative, so by the time the 1996 report came out, it was a completely contrived graph called the hockey stick. So what they did was they got rid of the medieval warm period and the Little Ice Age, and so instead of the graph doing this,
that's right, Doug,
they flattened it out, and then they added instrumental record on the end that looks like it's going way up. The point is that the people that are calling them out on it are not getting the media coverage. Because look, at this point there's billions of dollars going into the whole climate change narrative. The climate right now is no warmer than it's been.
Yeah, we can't forget that there's billions of dollars going into the climate change narrative. Tons of people make their living off of that. There's people who make their livings off of a lot worse stuff, who are willing to do a lot worse stuff. Money, the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. I mean, lying about the climate is nothing in comparison to what like some people do with children or blackmail and stuff like that. Obviously, lying about the climate, what is that in comparison? It's like nothing. Not even close. So yeah, of course people would lie about the climate for that. Look at the satellite imagery from 1985. I mean, the satellite imagery destroys just completely destroys their whole sea level narrative. I don't know if they even understand how sea levels actually operate. I mean, I worked on the ocean for a little bit, and just seeing even the ebbs and the flows of the ocean, how it rises and falls, and then like one day it's like extremely low, and then another day the water's extremely high. Like, it doesn't even make sense. I don't even know if they know what's going on with the water in the ocean. But as we can see here, they definitely don't know what's going on with the ocean level rising, because here it's not in, what, they're almost 40 years, almost 40 years. Pretty interesting. We'll watch another Randall Carlson video, guys, and then we'll end the stream. Not to be whatever, doomsday or anything. The reason I really point this stuff out is because I have hope that, we didn't have to submit to their great reset in the past. We did not have to submit to their new normal, because what did we do? We just didn't go along with it. Enough people said, I don't want to wear the mask, that we're not wearing masks. If they could have kept that going, they would have. If they could have kept all that stuff, they would have definitely done it. So they didn't, because we didn't submit to it. We should still care for the animals, care for the environment, be respectful. And that's just obvious. But to give all of our rights and freedoms over to the government, because, they obviously don't, they're blackmailing and they're flying to islands, some of them, and they're insider trading and all that stuff. It's really, we don't need to just submit to anything they say. It's so obvious that they're wrong in so many different areas and unjust. And that's even here in America. When you start to go outside, it gets worse and worse and worse, in my opinion. So it's man, we just got to be we got to unite together and be listen, we just all need to get along, get rid of Islam, stop believing lies, and let's just spread the gospel and have a good time. How about that? That's my take. All right, one more Randall Carlson video, and then we'll end the stream here.
Began 200 years ago, and we see that the glaciers from the global warming began 200 years ago, and we see that the glaciers from the Little Ice Age began to shrink back in the early 19th century. A century before there was any significant human contribution of CO2 to the atmosphere. It's important to realize that the Little Ice Age was probably the coldest period since the end of the Great Ice Age. In fact, the data overwhelmingly supports that. And
the Little Ice Age was in the 1300s. So there's this time period known as the Little Ice Age in the 1300s, 700 years ago. And they don't mention that at all. Let's listen.
The glaciers grew to their largest extent around the planet in 10,000 years. So when we're talking about glacier recession, it's important to understand what the baseline is. Our baseline in this case is the biggest the glaciers have been in 10,000 years. And what's interesting, and this is going on right now, as the glaciers have been receding, geologists and biologists and glaciologists and so forth have been studying the landscapes that are being revealed as the ice shrinks back. And you know what they're finding is the remains of forests that had been overrun by the Little Ice Age glaciers, and peat bogs and things that would suggest that prior to the onset of the Little Ice Age, those valleys that were filled with ice from roughly 1400 to 1800 were actually forested. Because
so in the 1300s, parts of Antarctica may have had forests on it, and up in South America, probably much more so. There was just forests. And so now where the ice is melting, and they're finding, okay, there used to be forests 700 years ago. And so they're talking about the earth warming now like it's such a bad thing. And then even last year, conflicting reports all the time. It's the same double speak with the WEF, give up your privacy, or make a digital ID so you can have more privacy. That makes sense. It's the same thing when you look at the news stories from last summer, 2025. Multiple stories, I've covered it in other videos, saying the ice is melting in Antarctica to extreme levels that we've never seen. What are we going to do about it? Same year, even I think in one case, the same website posting Antarctica ice sheet has grown beyond any time in recent years. They don't even tell you the truth on this stuff. They don't. But when we use their science, which is their God, their false God of science, we can even just see, a couple hundred years ago, there was even forest in these areas where there's now ice. So it's the earth is not warming to dangerous levels. It's not even close to that. I think if there's any really great threat to the world, it's that the corals in the oceans and how that's been happening. Because if you look around the world, or you go around the world in the oceans, you can see the corals and the coral reefs there have been greatly damaged by a lot of different things. That is a much bigger threat. There is real threats to the climate that we should address and care for, and care about the animals and all these things to be thriving. But to just give up all your freedom and eat lab-grown meat and to stop driving because these people say certain things about the climate when their science isn't even correct. Let's focus on the things that we can actually fix, that actually need help, not the stuff that just doesn't even make a difference. There's a lot of that going on.
The ice came down and overran these forests, and now it's receding back and revealing that there were forests there. So that tells you that, at some point, probably going back to the medieval warm period, those areas that have been glaciated during the early part of the 20th century were actually free of ice.
There you go. There you go. I mean, not that long ago, these areas didn't even have, they weren't even ice there now. So there's more ice now on the earth than there was probably like 800 years ago. You don't learn that on CNN. They'll never talk about that. You know, Jesus Christ is king. He is the way, the truth, and the life. We are supposed to follow those who are in positions of leadership because a lot of them have been put in that position. Some of them are being used. They're being used even negatively and they don't know it, but they are all fitting together for God's plans. But I'm just not one of these people who think we should sit back and just like give up because prophecy is going to happen one day. I just don't think we should, because we could have easily done that in 2020 and here we are 6 years later and things are back to normal. So it's like, you won't find me giving up like ever, really. And even if the antichrist is here, the mark of the beast is being instituted, we're all here, the third temple is built, all that stuff, we're still here to spread the gospel and the truth of Jesus. So, you know, Jesus is the truth. He's the way, the life. And the reason I focus on this climate stuff is because I think that is one way where the antichrist could try to gain, you know, his seat of power. And so we should call out their lies when we see it, because you know, we don't want that new normal. We don't want the Antichrist beast system. So let's push back against it. It's just like this. Cyprus, football fans from Cyprus, they raise this sign here. We're all soldiers of Jesus Christ. We stand against the New World Order. That's more of the energy we need. United in Jesus Christ and not submitting to the New World Order. They can build up the military and fix the roads, and they can have their little fun that way. Leave us alone. Stop feeding us fake science. We're not eating your weird food. We're not taking your shots. And we're not going to go fight in wars that we don't want to. End of story. Let's just leave it at that. Jesus is king. God bless, guys. Thanks for coming on the live stream. Appreciate you. God bless.